I'm Regenerate. But before I go, roll the intro. Yeah. Okay, so this was, by the way, I forgot to mention who requested this. This was once again requested by both Clara Boswald and Death in Heaven, because they both requested that I do all the Master episodes. And I uploaded the Master Trilogy to YouTube, and, well, this counts as a Master episode. Well, a Master story, because it's 2 episodes, because it's a 2-parter. But, so yeah, I thought I'd do it. So, so the waters of, the end of time, was the last episode with David Tennant, the last episode with John Sims Master, considering we're on the topic of the Master. It also showed Wilfred Mott, who I love, as the 10th Doctor's final companion. Now, this episode, the first part aired on December 25th, 2009, and the second part aired on January 1st, 2010. And this was also the final episode with Russell T Davies as showrunner. Now, this was one of the specials. There were 4 specials, technically 5, if you consider it, because this was a 2-parter. But if you consider this as one story, then there are 4 specials. So the first 2 specials really were not very good. We had The Next Doctor and The Forest of the Dead. Now, those were both terrible, terrible ones. With The Next Doctor, you get stupid, unfunny humor. And not only that, when they say The Next Doctor, I would have liked to have seen, like, a doctor, not exactly Matt Smith's doctor, because we didn't get to see him yet, so that would have added more, that wouldn't have been as much of a surprise. But if we had gotten to see a doctor from maybe in the, distant in the future, like Tom Baker's character in Day of the Doctor, yeah, they could have done, like, somebody like him, as the Next Doctor. That would have been, really good. But no, instead we had to have a hoax. Oh, it's not the real Doctor. It's just a normal guy. First off, and that made no sense. Like, if anybody ever took his heartbeat, like, if you went to go get a checkup, and somebody checked his heartbeat, like, it was just stupid. I mean, but yeah, so that was dumb. And another thing that was dumb was the Forest of the Dead. I believe that was what it was called. Yeah, Forest of the Dead. That was a pretty terrible one. That had the Doctor the plot was pretty stupid and cheesy. And what I really didn't like about it was how the Doctor, he lets a felon, like, run free. He breaks a felon out of the hands of custody. The Doctor would never do that. He would never, well, okay, yeah, he did do that once before, but after that, I mean, he's friends with the government at this point. I don't think he would do that. Well, he's friends with the British government at this point, so I really don't think he would have done that. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, that line where he said, oh, I'm just gonna walk into this police spot, oh, I'm gonna go arrest myself, let me put myself in the police box, that was kind of cute. But it made no sense how he lets her run free. Oh yeah, and then the government, government lady, like, doesn't do anything. She's just, like, smiling, and she's like, oh, look at him, he's flying away, ah. So that was stupid. So I was really getting worried for this. But then The Waters of Mars, I'm going to do that review tomorrow, by the way. holy crap, that was brilliant. And that turned it right around. That was my second favorite episode of the entire New Who series. Oh my gosh, I love the Waters of Mars. I just loved it. I'm gonna get into how much I loved it tomorrow. It deserved more than a 10 out of 10, and unfortunately, I can't give it more than a 10 out of 10. But it deserved so much more, and so that's when I really started to get a bit more excited for this. So, and after seeing it, I will say that it wasn't as good as The Waters of Mars, but I still loved it. I still loved it, and now it's not perfect, as none of the regeneration episodes are, because every regeneration episode of the new series, well, there have been some perfect regeneration episodes, like the War Games and the Caves of Androzani, but there have been. But as far as New Who goes, all regeneration episodes have been very good. There have been 3 of them. There was the Christopher Eccleston to David Tennant, which was The Parting of the Ways, David Tennant to Matt Smith, which was The End of Time, and David Tennant to David Tennant to Matt Smith, which was The End of Time, and Matt Smith to Peter Capaldi in Time of the Doctor. None of those 3 have been perfect. But, they've still been very, very good. And there's, like, one flaw. I give them all the same rating, which I'll tell you at the end. But there's always been one flaw, which I think bogs all 3 of them down from being a 10 out of 10, which I'll talk about later. But The End of Time was still a very good episode. Let me get into a bit of the plot. So The End of Time is basically about David Tennant. He's summoned by the Ood, and the Ood tells him that that the Master has been recreated, basically reconceived, I guess you could say. It's a very complex process, but we get the Master back, and the Master keeps talking about how he has the drum beat in his head because he had to look into the vortex as a child, and that basically caused insanity as it really messed with his head. So he talked about that, and really it was a great episode. The Master was great as always. Oh, and Wilfred. The Doctor meets up with Wilfred again. Donna is getting married. Donna can never know. For those of you who don't know, in the Series 4 finale, Donna absorbed some energy. Donna had to have her memory wiped of the Doctor so that she could survive. Well, not really survive, but we don't know if she died, but she would have gone crazy. But, so she had to get her memory wiped. Now she's getting married again, for like the 3rd time. She gets married a lot in this show. I mean, she got married in her first appearance, The Crappy Runaway Bride. She got married in the Library 2-parter, although that was just her imagination. And she's getting married again here. So now, Wilfred, so this episode is very good. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm going to get into my major complaint at the very end, but what happens basically is, at the very end when he regenerates, Wilfred gets stuck in this one container thing. It's very hard to explain. It's very hard to explain in a nutshell, but basically he gets stuck in this one machine and he has to get out, and if the Doctor opens it, even if he opens it with his sonic screwdriver, it would cause a flood. And, but the Doctor, and Wilfred keeps saying to him, "Oh, just leave me, I'm an old man." And Bernard Cribbins, who plays the role, is like 80 right now. And then the Doctor, what really is heart-wrenching is when the Doctor keeps yelling out loud, "Oh, you just had to get stuck, Wilfred. You just had to get stuck, didn't you? Oh my, I could do, and then he yells, I could do so much more! So much more! Oh my gosh. Um, and then he, opens the door, and then he says, oh, it's my honor. And then, he lets and then he sacrifices himself for Wilfred's life. That was just heart-wrenching. And because of that, he then has to regenerate. And then his last words are, which made a lot of people really, really sad, is, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And then he regenerates into Matt Smith. So what I really liked about this is the main theme of these specials were he will knock 4 times. In Forest of the Dead, I believe it was called, yeah. We hear, this one woman goes up to the doctor and say, he be knocking 4 times. And, she says that when somebody, we don't know who, but when somebody, knocks 4 times, that will mean that the doctor is about to regenerate. So, it has to be like, so yeah. So, that's what she says, and so, basically, this is where it wrapped up, and this was probably my favorite part of the entire episode, where, after he knocks 4 times, well, we all thought at the very end, in this episode, that since the Master had all the drum beats in his head, we all thought it was going to be him. And then it was Wilfred. It wasn't the Master, it was Wilfred. And Wilfred didn't even know it. He didn't even know it, and it was just, what a plot twist. What a clever plot twist. Sorry about that, but anyway, so yeah, I really did, I thought that was a brilliant plot twist. That was probably my favorite part. The Master, I really liked how they did the Master here, too. He was very sympathetic. I could really sympathize over him. And I really felt bad for the Master, even though his intentions were bad. And then at the very end, the Master sacrifices himself, and that was great, too. Rassilon was also great, and the ending at part 1 also had a great cliffhanger, where they say, "For Gallifrey! For victory!" And Timothy Dalton did a great job as Rassilon. I believe that's what his name was anyways, the actor's name. But, anyways, so I really like that. And, so it was one of the best Doctor Who cliffhangers, and one of the best speeches in Doctor Who. Although my favorite speech was the Pandorica speech. But, and Wilfred was also a great character, by the way. Wilfred, when he was funny, but at the same time, he could also break your heart. I mean, he's just such a likable old man, and he was an old man who got to visit space, for a day, and, it was really touching. Now, the one thing that I think bogs this episode down just a little bit, the only reason I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10, is the Doctor's final moments. Now, what I mean is, this is the first time when they view regeneration as death. The Doctor has always viewed regeneration as a bittersweet change. But here he's like, oh no, I don't want to go. And I found that a bit out of character. I didn't like that. And I know it was sad. And I know it's not supposed to be like the crappy one in Time in the Ronnie. But still, I just wish they had viewed it more as bittersweet change. But, I mean, this was Russell T Davies' last episode, so he may have wanted to complete something for himself since he was leaving Doctor Who. But, yeah, so I did still really like that. So, The End of Time gets a 9.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. I'm going to try and do my Death in Heaven / Dark Water review today, and bye.